Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studio in New York City, here is Steve Malzberg.
Hey, everyone wants to know where Johnny Manziel is going, right? He's been rumored the Raiders, the Bucks, the Browns. Real or rumor he will go to any
Here's the big thing with Johnny Manziel. Look, he's not going to the Browns. We talk about that. He's not going to the Raiders. He's not going to go to the Buccaneers. There's a rumor they're trying to move up to 2 for him. No, that's not happening. No. They're not doing that. And the thing with Johnny Manziel is, yes, he is the highest rated quarterback on everybody's draft board that I've talked to. It's not Bortles, not Bridgewater, but there's a huge but there. And the but is they look at him and say he gets hit an awful lot.
All right, there you go. There's the Fox, one of the Fox TV sports crews predicting what will happen at tonight's NFL draft. It's big news, baby. And joining us now for big news is Jared Max, sportscaster and friend. Hello, Jared Max.
Hello, Steve Malzberg. Happy rainy Thursday to you.
Yeah.
Happy NFL Draft Day.
What's that?
I said happy NFL Draft Day.
Yeah. Well, a dreary day. Let's see if it'll be a dreary night for some. I know you and I have talked, and I know you have maybe not with these specific people that we're just talking, but you have a problem with the so-called draft experts and prognosticators, correct?
Steve, you know, it's interesting. I throughout my entire career, I've always been very, I don't have to be careful. I never want to take any shots or criticisms at fellow broadcasters because I know the work that goes into what it takes to put together a show every day, to keep cranking it out. And that's one thing I think people in the audience who haven't worked in the media don't recognize the amount of work. You don't just show up to work one day and cameras go on and you say, hey, it's the Steve Malzberg show. The amount of prep that goes into it and work. And sometimes as news directors, program directors hate to hear terms like filling time. They usually like to say, well, let's find content for this time.
Right.
But time has to be filled every day. There's a show to be done. You come to something like the NFL draft, and everybody and his mother could try to guess what is going to happen. But the truth is, nobody knows. I was just watching last week one of these great pieces on the 1983 NFL draft, where we had at the time a record 6 quarterbacks who were champions.
Yeah.
And that was the one where the Jets passed up on Dan Marino, and they went with Kenny O'Brien. And it was a great piece, one of those 30 by 30s on ESPN, which was breaking down what that whole first round was like. But again, this is back in 1983. Fast forward now, 31 years, and the draft, like I said, has become, it's a 3-day event in New York. It's like Thursday, Friday, 4 days event in New York. Back then, nobody knew where John Elway was going to wind up. Back then, everybody was saying early in that day, Elway, the Colts are going to pick him, but he won't go to the Colts. Well, he didn't wind up with the Colts. But at the time, if you remember, John Elway wound up saying, I'm going to go play baseball for the New York Yankees.
Right, and he signed a contract with them.
And was going to become a Yankee. And then as it turned out, they worked a deal where he eventually would go to the Baltimore Colts, worked a deal with the Denver Broncos.
Right.
And the Colts didn't get all that much. But nonetheless, Elway became a Bronco. Nobody in their right mind could have predicted it. So with all due respect to, it sounded like Jay Glazer who was
that was Jay, yeah.
Jay does such a great job. There are people who do, the Mel Kipers and Todd McShays of the world. They're fantastic at what they do. Mike Silva, the guys that, but the truth is, let's not pretend that we have a clue what is going to happen. It's almost like trying to be it's even tougher than being a prognosticator of a game. We don't know what the GMs are thinking, what the coaches are thinking, and they're sure as heck not going to let us know. That's, I think, what's so interesting as we all tune in to see where are these young men's futures going to take form. Right.
No, I couldn't agree with you more. And although it is, if you're a football fanatic, it's fun to speculate. And, people have both on television and on radio and, people at their homes or whatever with friends, they have mock drafts. I hate that term mock draft, but that's what they've been having. And all the mock drafts will come to an end. Let me ask you, I don't want to go in depth into Johnny Manziel either. But, here's a 6-foot quarterback who, has, some would say has, NFL teams have concerns about him on the field and off the field. He might be a little full of himself, so to speak, although he said he wants to be better. He said that any team that passes up on him is going to regret it, which is a good attitude to have, I guess, but it might be a little too cocky. A guy like him, it's weird. Here's a guy who doesn't know until tonight which direction, what avenue he's going to be following for his future. It's kind of exciting and scary at the same time if you're him.
as I was just watching in that piece about Dan Marino had no idea where he was going to go, and he went so late. He was the last of 6 quarterbacks picked in that first round of '83, wound up with the Dolphins, and had no idea at first. Jim Kelly, who became a Hall of Famer, all he kept saying, I don't want to go to Buffalo. I don't want to go to Buffalo. Jim Kelly wound up going to the United States Football League, had a great career there with the Houston Gamblers, and then eventually found his love in Buffalo. Sometimes we wind up in odd places in life, and you say, boy, I thought I'd never be here, but you're there for a reason. Manziel. Here's my take. Look, he's about 4 inches taller than Doug Flutie. Doug Flutie made a pretty good career for himself, a guy who they said couldn't do necessarily that much because of his size. Johnny Manziel is Johnny Money. Johnny Manziel is going to sign jerseys, and he's going to fill seats more than just about any other player who's going to get drafted tonight will, even if it's a Jadeveon Clowney with the #1 pick. Right. Johnny Manziel will sell jerseys, and he's actually going to get to sign them legally this time around. But no joke, Steve, Manziel, for my take, he's not an offensive lineman. I want my quarterback to have some cockiness, to have a Manziel-like approach. Yep. Of course, if it's more cockiness than talent and what's really there in stock, different story. But I wonder maybe he could be like a Colin Kaepernick type, a guy who's able to escape when being hit. We don't know how hard he can take the hits, but he's certainly going to bulk up and be surrounded with a coaching and training staff like he never has in his career. He's an exciting story. I think it's worth a team that needs a quarterback that isn't scared. Give it a shot. Yeah,
it'd be very interesting if he winds up somehow with the Cowboys, looking to the future. That would be interesting. But it's either going to be, they're going to. I believe that he's the kind of player and he's the kind of pick that 10 years from now people are going to say, oh, boy, they pulled a Manziel, either in a positive sense because he's going to be a great quarterback, or in a negative sense because he's going to be a bust. But either way, it'll go down as they pulled a Manziel. Anyway, we're coming back, Jared. Lots to talk about. I want to talk about Michael Sam. I want to talk about Richard Sherman. So stay where you are, right here on the Steve Malzberg Show. And folks, what do you think about today's hot news topics? For instance, what we're talking about here, Johnny Manziel, and will Michael Sam be drafted, and if so, where? Why don't you let us know? Follow us on Twitter at Newsmax TV. You could email us at contact@newsmax.com or comment on our Facebook page at facebook.com/NewsmaxTV. Now, I hope you got all that. We're coming back with Jared Max. Don't go away.